Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we have another Wargame Red Dragon showdown, this time between four of us here, a bit of a friendly play group, shall you say, and I'm on the same side as my buddy Lowing, who's playing his signature French deck. I'm playing I'm playing South Africa, right? And our opponents are playing, I believe, Blue 4 as well, so there should be a USA deck fielded by Vimes and Justin Talbot running, I believe, the Dutch. So we are trying to get the game started right and fight it on our opponent's side of the field, hopefully allowing us to capture some rear objectives and maintain a strong forward presence. So I am headed over with most of my force, including a Ruavalk and lots of Paratroopers, to India. The hope is to kind of panic my opponents a little bit. Benefit of playing with people that you know is that, well, sometimes you have things that you can expect, and I expect my opponents to dig in very, very well, but to be a little bit slow. And that expectation is hereby broken. So my friend Lowing is going in, trying to secure Echo with Tiger Hap and some Paratroopers, but they are quickly taken down by what I think proves to be MH60L DAPS. All the Paratroopers go, all of those forward elements gone. That's about 400 some points. But in India, we are unopposed, so I am able to get my Paratroopers roughly in position. I'm being a little bit conservative with them, having seen what happened over in Echo. And my buddy's forces are now moving up to the front of Alpha to at least say that we can hold these woods and potentially hold up on this side as well. I do also have some infantry in Rattle 20s and a Ruakat, including a Scout Ruakat, headed over to sort of augment the defensive line between Gulf and our home zone in Charlie. So, SASF on the ground, these are basically, well, just similar to the British SAS, except I guess the South African version. They carry Stingers and Apalas, which are a really wonderful anti-tank weapon. I mean, 23 AP power, 20 rounds per minute, so it has the higher firing rate. And we do secure India. I'm sending, I believe, yes, I have a Caspian BV in Charlie to allow us to reinforce my land at that forward location, and another command vehicle at Hotel as well. And the attempt here is to counterbalance my opponent's +1, as they have secured Echo, Golf, Foxtrot, and Delta. However, if we do secure Hotel, if we do secure Alpha, we could get as much as a +3 ticking points against them, and as this is a game of conquest, not just destruction, that is important. So, my friend is sending up a unsupported AA piece, and it is unfortunately taken out, I believe, by a scout helicopter. Yep, by an H-1J Cobra, of all things. Pretty heavy guns on that, I guess. I mean, 55 points, 2 sets of rocket pods. Maybe I should try that out sometime. I do have a Cheetah D seed plane, just trying to see where air defenses might be located, and I do see a couple. So we have, of course, the United States PIVADS, and that'll be located down here. We should see it. Yep. There it is. Of course, as our plane gets close, we can identify this from the air, as well as 2 Cheetah Prandtl A1s, and this confirms for me that Justin is in fact playing his Dutch deck, as the Cheetah Prandtls are that nation exclusively, I believe. I prefer Flak Panzer Gepards or Centurion Marksmans, but that's just me. We do take out the Pivads and the Cheetah D's out of Winchester. Second Cheetah D coming in to try to hit those Cheetah Prandtls, since I didn't see an air superiority fighter. Unfortunately, that's a big swing and a miss, so only one of the missiles hits, and it didn't really do nearly enough damage. However, the Cheetahs are stunned, and that's something worth remembering, because it will come into play later on in the match. So I have Bocop and Rattle 20s forming a light defensive line, and I'm just sending my Oryx helicopters forward. This is just scouting in force, I suppose, and we encounter 2 double sets of Leopard 1A5s and some light anti-air, but very light, really. I mean, there's no Cheetah Prandtls over there that I can tell, and they're certainly not nearly as effective as dedicated anti-air. So I decide, okay, well, this means that I can bring over a scout helicopter, another sort of distraction Alouette K-Car, and a Ruavalk carefully positioned so that the Ruavalk will take fire last, and we might be able to get some cheeky kills. Meanwhile, Cheetah E comes in, and I drop some bombs on that AA. This ends up being a bad decision, as my Cheetah does go down. And at this point, I don't know if the bombs are successful or not, but we will see later on. Ruavalk opening fire on the Leopards, and that is 1 hit, but no kill. Oh, yeah, actually we did get a kill there. And a second kill as well. That turns out to be, I believe, a Bradley M3A2 80-point scout vehicle. And we can see the silhouette. Yep, that's a Bradley as well. And this is something my opponent does rather often, the double stack 65-point tanks. I'm not the biggest fan of it because they underperform compared to a single higher tier 120, 130-point tank. But I suppose volume of fire is worth something. My ally Lowing has a bomber coming in, and oof. US Marines taking it on the chin. They lose some of their support, stunned now, and panicked to boot, and the Vabs and Legion will be able to do some pretty good work. I'm now just saying, okay, well, if they have Golf, I don't really know what's going on here. I don't want to get attacked through this way. I don't want to have them take these towns, split me off in India and Hotel. It's what I would do if I was on their side, so I expect them to do it to me. And I'm bringing out some infantry to sort of thicken out this section of the map as my ally fights for his life in the corner of Golf. So the AH-1J Cobra proving his use yet again, supporting the push of the light riflemen and US Marines, but Vabs are very feisty and Legion are certainly no slouch, although they are currently panicked. So is everybody, so nobody is exactly shooting with high accuracy there. And in the meantime, a bit of a cheeky helicopter push-ish thing over here. So Gazelle Celtics are dedicated anti-helicopter. I think he's looking for some revenge, but they're in the wrong location. So if we see now all of our opponents, MH-60L DAPs and the Cobras, and all of this is coming over to support the infantry, which, I mean, hey, that will work because there's no anti-air in the region. Meanwhile, the Celtics do encounter AA fire, and unfortunately they'll go down. My Rattle 20s have gotten a little bit behind enemy lines here and just managed to take out a couple cheap transports, M113A3s, I believe, 5 points. Mechanized transports, nothing fancy. But the helicopters have largely done their work. We have an ATGM team hiding here basically because it's so small and doesn't need fire, and we can largely assume that the town now has been taken by the enemy. So I'm moving my Rattle 20s up. I'm hunting for a CV here or for any supporting elements on this side of the river, and what quickly becomes kind of apparent is that, well, I don't really think they have much over here. I think my opponents were expecting me to rush for Golf, and I didn't. But because of that, they're probably securing Golf from the other side, certainly supported by those forward elements we saw pushing previously, and I'm going to take advantage with my Rattle 20s moving up through the woods and being able to prey on some unsuspecting transports. So LVT-4s, infantry carriers, and more behind it. Some of those do get taken out, yep, and they will deposit their troops. In the meantime, actually, we do lose a helicopter. Oof, big ball of fire there. To cluster artillery, but the Rattle 20s are doing very nicely, and that's a triple stack of Stoot Troopin, 20 points apiece, being shot at by 30 points worth of basically one-trick pony autocannon transports. And the Stoot Troopin, I think my opponent expected them to be able to make it to the woods, but as they get closer, we gain our accuracy, and that is absolutely brutal. Bocop on my end do get killed. I'm trying to support the Rattle 20s here, and I just took the short route. As it turns out, Huza Ren spotting in the woods, and a Leopard 1A5 to provide that big gun support. So I do have planes coming in, and yeah, let's see, 2 Cheetah Ds and a Buccaneer. Hopefully trying to finish what we started earlier. But Core Mariner just being fed into the meat grinder as well. And these guys, 35 points apiece, that's not what you want to have just die in the open field like this. But yeah, they're trying to take cover, it's not working, and those men are being ripped to shreds. In the meantime, the Cheetah's on the move, and they do come in to support a little bit, stunning the Rattle 20s and getting some decent work there. In the meantime, I have now filled out this area a bit more to my satisfaction. If they try to sneak somebody through, well, at least it should be largely caught, unless it's all the way up through this way, which I was hoping to prevent with the Rattle 20s and Bocop, but admittedly now is a little bit light. However, because troops can't teleport in this game, it should be okay for right now, and we still do have a rear defensive line here with 2 Huakat tanks. So in come the Cheetah Ds, and finally down go those 2 AA pieces. You can see, yep, 1 and 2 behind it are just done and dusted. My ally here, Lowing, is still kind of struggling to find his feet a little bit. He's secured Alpha, but our opponent Vimes is being quite crafty and quite skillful in his defense, and Echo has remained untouched. We do see a hat, and this kind of tells me, okay, well, something either something big is coming, or we were right about their troop movements, and there's going to be quite a lot in this woods. And let me just see, if we shift over to neutral, that is in fact correct. There's a big concentration of force here, and in Echo as well. So we have a general idea of this position of our opponents, and we have a +3, which I mentioned before is gained by securing Hotel and Alpha, which is allowing us to largely hold the lines pretty comfortably and know that we'll at least get an advantage, if not the win. I mean, let's think about it. They could push us back through Alpha, and we're still at +1 until they secure it, after which they'll only be at a +1 themselves. And now finally we are getting some work done on their support, but light riflemen pushing forward and the ATGM Milans go down. I don't know if I particularly love this choice. They're regular training infantry, so they're not going to be performing all that well, even when calm. Of course, a Milan team isn't going to be able to do much anyway. But now we do have South African reinforcements coming up, Parabots and Caspier K-Cars, that are unfortunately a little bit outnumbered, and oof, this is going to be brutal. So the SAF-90 opening up with those beautiful Apilas. Oof. Ah. Yeah, it's a nice explosion. So it turns out inside there, I believe, were special forces, so that was something like a 90 or so point kill. And it is a little bit odd to talk about it like that, but this is an RTS, and value does still reign supreme. Parabot being supported now by reinforcing the Legion and some IFVs on the side, and we are making some good contact, although the IFVs are getting fired at as well a little bit. And I'm finally now moving some scouts forward. Parapathfinders allow us to see a bit farther. We do, of course, have SASF and Rental 20s guarding the way on either side there still. Not really too much coming in to fight them either. And yeah, you can see the AMX 10s were not enough, the Parabot was not enough, but the Legion have retaken a town, and we do have some potential here. Vav's being moved up, but maybe a little bit aggressively. That combat in the area is going to be quite effective at taking them out. Yep, and you can see it gets a second kill, but it is taken out by the Legion, which of course have the LRAC, not quite as good as the Legion 90s version of that, but still quite effective at short range, and they will just buzzsaw through those remaining light riflemen. There it is, town secure. My Parabot, I should have probably just dropped them back and resupply, but I'm a little bit distracted because we are moving forward now in the north, hoping to kill, yep, that's Cheetah Prendel, which we do. Two more of them down from the Rental 20s, who unfortunately now will take quite significant counterfire. That is a very wonderful firing concave, and even artillery coming in on the bridge. It's not exactly a healthy thing to do. But Loeing has finally managed to have some success on the eastern side of the field. So the Commandos Para do come in and sneak all the way through, take out our opponent's command vehicle. Now we're taking out a +5 with 400 already in the bank. So those Commandos Para walked all the way through this mountainous region and dodged. It looked like a bit of a bombing run. Sorry for missing that. But they were able to get their mission done quite well. We do now have a little bit of security here in between Gulf. I do have more either bulk up or Parabat coming up as well. Unfortunately, both are in the Rental 20s, so it's a little bit hard to see. But scouting in force with Puma 330H does allow our Ruvalk to get one more kill. Yeah, that's pretty nice. And I'm feeling pretty good now. We have a +5 for goodness sake, and I can tell you right now in the chat, things were a bit of a good game. Nice playing yet again. Things are kind of over at this point. Although there is a little bit of surprise that I'll show when we get to the casualties screen, because the game, I mean, this is one thing about Conquest, right? It isn't destruction. Point value matters in terms of gaining an advantage, but it is not the end-all be-all, and local superiority is often enough. So I do call out a command. Sometimes I'm such a cheeky bastard. It's not a good thing. This is pointless because the game's already over, but I called it out anyway because good plays are good plays. And yeah, there it is. Let's see. Okay, here's what I'm talking about. As a team, Loeing and I got 1515 points worth of kills and took 1695 points worth of losses, most of those concentrated on our eastern flank, as Loeing did take the brunt of Vime's excellent defense and counteroffensive. Before South Africa was able to support anyway, and the French infantry were able to pull it back. But, you know, despite this, a game where we were technically negative on the kills to losses ratio, 502 conquest points compared to 34. So we denied our opponents anything above a +1 and anything at all past about 45 seconds to a minute into the game, and that was extraordinarily decisive, where the actual kills were not. So, remember what game you're playing. If it's Conquest, conquer. Don't just fight needlessly. If your offensive doesn't have an objective and doesn't mean to move you up the field, it's not worth doing. So, some pretty good kills. We won't see everything here because I did switch to the neutral viewpoint, but we can see some things. Cheetah getting some good kills. Ruavolk getting some good kills as well. It did have more than that, but again, this is partially abbreviated. And Ratel 20s being just extraordinarily valuable, where they were pushed out to that forward position to ambush their opponents. These are the SAF-90 that were able to ambush the Poor Mariner and their transport crossing the river. Just absolutely brutal value there as well. Okay, that's all we've got for today. Thank you all for hanging around, and we'll see you again real soon.